When doing outings with your client, does the company pay for it? Absolutely not, honey. You're gonna learn real quick in the DSP field that it's very fend for yourself. Hey you guys, it's your girl Michelle Sulaan. Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning and if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and for that I thank you. So today I'm going to be answering you guys' DSP questions. I posted quite a few DSP videos on my channel over the past like 3 years, and I posted one recently. I will link them in the eye if you're interested. But yeah, I'm just gonna answer a couple of questions that you guys commented because I felt like they were good questions and I didn't answer them in my most recent DSP video. So before we get into it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with a friend because it could be really helpful. DSP is not a terrible job, but let me get into these questions because y'all had some good ones. What does the documentation look like? Could you use a hypothetical note? I'm just trying to figure out the best way of documentation. So there is the PSR, which is a personal spending record. You have to document in there. You have to document their ISP, which is their just regular everyday documentation, what they did on every shift. And then there's a T-log. T-logs are incident reports. If an individual has a behavior and he's hitting staff, if he refused his medicine or took somebody else's medicine, things that are like urgent and important for each shift, and like the social work team behind, you know, the client support team to know. Those are all T-logs. You can log a T-log depending on its priority: low, medium, or high. High would be something like urgent, like, or they took somebody else's medicine, that's urgent. A low T-log would probably be something that's out of their norm, just to like monitor, like maybe they slept all day for the last 3 days. We might put that as a low priority T-log, just so somebody is aware and that, you know, they can look at that. The PSR, personal spending record, that would just depend on how much money the person has. So I can't give a documentation example for that, but for an ISP, it could just be, so say I'm your client, MS, right? If this is a 4 to 12 shift, I'm just making this up. So MS was, upon arrival, MS was sitting at the dining room table enjoying dinner. After dinner, MS went into her bedroom and watched TV for 4 hours. MS was medication compliant. MS went to the grocery store and assisted staff with bringing groceries in the house. MS, you know, like no concerns at this time. And that would just be it. What about who can't speak English properly? I feel like that would be challenging for me. Honestly, a lot of my coworkers, they were like African. They were from Africa. Like they were only in the United States for a short time. So they had, you know, thick accents or broken English. You know, it didn't interfere with them being able to do their job. I feel like as long as you're able to communicate with your clients, that should be fine. I think a little bit of English would be helpful if that's the primary language your client speaks. But there are times we have nonverbal clients, so I'm sure you could probably, that probably shouldn't be too much of a hardship, especially if you have other people on your shift who speak English. They can help you out too. And then like if you're doing meal prep and bringing to appointments and stuff, I don't really think that'll be too much of a problem. But it also depends on your agency. Okay, what about the money? I shared about money in my last video. I don't think DSPs are paid nearly as much as they deserve because they're healthcare workers. Like, you know, they are more than companions, and I feel like that might be like the stigma around DSP is like, oh, you're just a companion. No, because if I was a companion, I wouldn't be administering medication, driving to appointments, and cooking dinner. That's not companionship, that's work. Okay, I just got hired as a DSP. I have not done day 1 yet. Any advice? How is it? I recently got my BA in psychology. I plan on getting my PhD after my MA and becoming a licensed master's family therapist or psychology professor. Okay, big money. That's really good. I'm so happy for you. Any advice? I would just say, honestly, just if you watched my pros and cons videos, then you should be well prepared for the job. So yeah, just watch my videos. You'll know exactly what to expect. and good luck. I know I'm confident that you'll like it. Now, like I said, I haven't worked with, every company that's out there, because my next comment says, worst job I've ever had. Disgusting job. I don't know why that was the worst job you've ever had. Honestly, DSP was the easiest job I've ever had in my life. So, somebody said, you guys do a lot more work than we do. More laid back. Yeah, so it just depends on what the needs of the clients are that you serve. Some of them might be higher functioning than others, and they might not need as much assistance. The house that I worked at, when I did this video and I didn't show somebody said, I'm glad you didn't show them on camera, unlike some people. Yeah, that's a HIPAA violation, so please don't record your clients, honey, okay? Because, no, don't do that. Don't nobody need to know that they're living no, stop. That's not nobody's business to be posting those people, especially without their consent. That's wild. I'm sorry, this is not funny. Somebody said, my girlfriend calls me rent-a-homie, and I just don't have the heart to tell her it's so much more. Are there different trainings required, or could you link any good free courses that could be helpful? I said all the courses were offered through my job. It's an entry-level position, but, different places want different requirements. Some places ask for a high school diploma. I've seen some places ask for a degree. I don't know why you would need a degree to be a direct support professional, because I was doing that outside of high school, like straight out of high school. So I'm not sure. They just said they needed someone over 18, nothing about experience. Yeah, you have to be over 18 for this job. When doing outings with your client, does the company pay for it? Absolutely not, honey. That's if you have a good company. If you had a good company, maybe once in a blue they would treat the clients. But when I worked at my old company, they didn't do nothing for them clients. It was sad, actually, because for example, we had one client, his mom was very active in his life. She used to always drop off money for him and stuff. So we were always able to buy him stuff with his own money. But then we had other clients who didn't have family or whatever, and they don't have any money. So a lot of the time in those situations, the staff would just go into their own pocket and look out for these clients, because it's really sad. Like, it is sad. Like, for you to live with two other people and you're watching somebody have their way, like they have all this money and stuff, that's not cool. So a lot of the time the staff would, go in their own pocket. It's not required of you. And, we don't document that or say anything about that, because that's just humanitarian. That's not required by the job. And that's really not what you're supposed to be doing at the job. But you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just the human thing to do. You know what I mean? If I had two clients at one time, because they were both high functioning, so they would only assign one staff for both of those clients. So if I take both of these clients out because this one wants a cheeseburger from McDonald's, how I'm gonna get them a cheeseburger and not give my other client anything just because they don't have any money? Like, those kinds of situations, which my company would put us in them situations a lot, that's not cool. And so, a lot of the time, like I said, the staff would just look out for these people, because that's foul. It's foul. I wouldn't want that done to me, so I never did that to anybody else. Is toiletry involved? It's possible. It just depends on what your client's level of function is. I've had clients who I had to help with bathing. I've had clients who were independent with bathing. I had clients who were independent with bathing but declined bathing and refused bathing for 2, 3, 4, 5 days at a time. But anyways, yeah, just watch your back with these that's not just for direct support professional, but that's for any job. These people don't care about you. God forbid something happens to you tomorrow, they're interviewing on Monday. Okay, come on. Don't bend over backwards for these jobs. Do what you can for your clients, because they don't have anything to do with that. But I'm talking about as far as the management, the job. You're going to learn real quick in the DSP field that, it's very fun for yourself. I have my learner's permit. Will they give me time to get my driver's license and still be employed? I already had my driver's license before, so I'm not sure. Honestly, they might give you a time constraint, like if you can get it within 6 months or a year. I'm not really sure. That wasn't my situation. So I don't want to steer you wrong. For that, you would have to check in with your your HR. Do you still work there? No, ma'am. No ham, no turkey. I do not. Thanks for the info. Also, what if you don't drive? Will you still be able to get the job? Driving is a major part of the job from my experience. Even if, like, there were jobs that would pay you mileage reimbursement if you use your own car. I've never done that. Then there was other jobs that provided a company vehicle. That was always what, you know, the companies that I worked for, because I wasn't about to be putting wear and tear on my car for mileage reimbursement. I just didn't feel like that made sense for me at the time. So I always used, you know, the company vehicle, and driving was necessary. I think actually if you got, because they monitor your speed and everything in them company cars. So if you were like speeding or something, or for whatever reason, like if something happened to your license and you couldn't drive anymore, you couldn't have that job no more, because you have to be able to drive. So what about assisting with toileting? That's a line I don't feel up to crossing. It just depends on the need of the client. Like I said, I had a client before who had a colostomy bag. Is that how you say it? But he knew how to do it all on his own and everything like that. I'm not familiar with that, but we do have clients from all walks of life, very different people, very different mental health situations, very different intellectual developmental disabilities, different medical conditions, just different people, okay? So just keep that in mind. But don't let that stop you from trying it out. You never know. You might not get, you know, a client who needs all that much help. You really won't know unless you try. So just be open-minded. Go into it open-minded. If you've done CNA work, you'll love this. I was never a CNA before this. This was the closest thing I ever was to like home care, and I actually enjoyed it. Like, and I'm somebody that I don't play that throw up stuff. I don't play that dookie stuff. I don't play that. Do you take your shoes off in the client's home? It was never required of us, but I mean, if the client wanted me to, I didn't care, you know. I respect people's houses. If I tell you take your shoes off in my house, you gonna do it. So if they want me to take my shoes off in their room or whatever, I'll do it. I'll do mine. Do you have to physically test? They did have me do like a basic brief math test. It was like 10 questions, because it went hand in hand with the medication administration. So I had to pass that test just basically to prove that I know how to do basic math before I was able to take the medication administration class. And then you have to take a test on that to show that, you know, you comprehend the information. And then after that, you can administer meds. But that's the only test I ever had to do. And the Reliance trainings, of course. How was working overnight? Honestly, I felt like overnight was the easiest shift because they were asleep. Like, my clients weren't lay up at night watching movies or nothing like that. No, they were respectable human beings. They was out like a light by 10 p.m. and the overnight shift is usually like 11 to 7 or whatever. You're cool. All you gotta do is really there's like a list of like chores that they want you to do, like clean up the house, tidy up, because they don't want you sleeping. And you know, for my overnight shift, usually they would cook breakfast for the clients when they woke up. There were some people who didn't do that. That used to blow mine, because especially if I'm coming on and it's a Saturday morning, you just getting off and you couldn't cook them breakfast and you know they're about to be in the house all day. I used to hate that. What do DSPs wear? I got hired as one but wasn't told appropriate wardrobe. I used to wear anything I wanted. I used to wear Crocs, jeans. I used to wear shirts from my high school. I used to wear regular shirts. You could wear good clothes. You could wear scrubs if you want to. It's not necessary, but you could wear leggings. You could wear whatever. You could wear whatever, honestly. And I'm going to try to get one more question in, and then we're going to call it a day. Did you have experience prior? No, I started DSP straight out of, well, I'm not going to say straight out of high school. So my first job ever, I was a cashier at a grocery store. My second job, I was a dietary aide at a short-term rehabilitation facility. I was working there when I was 17. I'm not sure how I got that job when I was 17, because it don't sound like that's something that a minor should be doing. But I did, and I was there for 2 years. And then when I was 19, I left that job, worked at Forever 21 for like 3 weeks, hated it, left, and then I got my DSP job. So I got my DSP job when I was 19. I know I have quite a few of these DSP videos. This might be like the conclusion to my DSP series or whatever. If you guys have any additional questions that I haven't already touched in one of my previous videos, please feel free to comment them down below. If I have touched on them, I'm going to refer you back to those videos, because explaining the same thing over and over again gets tedious. Sorry. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know about your DSP job experiences. I've heard some of you guys say you liked this, some of you guys hated it. It's the draw of the coin, or the luck of the draw. Is it the luck of the draw or the draw of the coin? I don't know. But anyways, I hope I was able to help you guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.